You won't believe this. Our HOA president, Karen, decided she had the right to cut down my tree. No warning, no permission, just marched onto my lawn with hired chainsaw guys like she owned the place. But here's the twist. Karma doesn't take long, and the very tree she tried to destroy ended up falling in the worst possible place, right on top of her own convertible. And trust me, it only gets crazier from here. Before we dive in, comment which country you're watching from. Let's see how far this story travels. My name's Daniel Carter. I've lived in Maple Ridge for nearly 15 years, and up until a few months ago, I thought I had found the perfect neighborhood. Quiet streets, well-kept lawns, families who waved as they drove by. It had the makings of a suburban dream. That was before Karen Blake became president of the HOA. The moment she got the title, the neighborhood changed. She strutted around like a sheriff, clipboard in one hand, phone in the other. She fined the Johnsons because their kids left a basketball hoop in the driveway overnight. She lectured the Ramos family for stringing solar-powered fairy lights in their backyard, saying they disrupted the uniform look of the community. Most of us just shook our heads and tried to stay under her radar. I thought I was safe. I'd never once broken an HOA rule, and I kept my property in pristine condition. My house sat beneath a towering sugar maple, 40 years old, strong, healthy, and beautiful. It shaded my yard in the summer, turned into a fireball of orange in the fall, and frankly, it was the pride of my property. So when I came home one afternoon and saw two men in neon vests with chainsaws at its base, I nearly dropped my coffee. Karen stood there supervising, lips pursed like she was overseeing a demolition crew. "What the hell are you doing to my tree?" I shouted, marching across the lawn. Karen didn't flinch. She raised her clipboard like it was a badge. "This tree poses a liability. As HOA president, I'm authorizing its removal." I looked up. Not a single dead branch, no signs of disease. "It's perfectly healthy. You don't have the right." The workers hesitated, glancing between us. I pulled out my phone. "Touch that tree, and I'll have you arrested for trespassing and destruction of property." That got their attention. They backed off immediately, muttering apologies, and packed up their equipment. Karen, though, stayed behind, her face twisted in irritation. "You're making a mistake, Daniel," she sneered. "You'll regret challenging me." 2 days later, I found the threat tucked neatly in my mailbox. A violation notice for unapproved landscaping. Apparently, my maple tree was now a hazard in the eyes of the HOA. Signed, of course, by President Karen Blake. That night, as I sat on the porch with my coffee, I had this nagging thought. This woman wasn't going to stop. I'd won a small battle today, but the war, that was just beginning. And as it turned out, I was right, because the next time I saw chainsaws near my tree, the outcome was a whole lot worse for her. The morning it happened, the air was unusually still, the kind of quiet that makes you suspicious. I was sipping my coffee by the kitchen window when I heard the familiar buzz of chainsaws outside. My stomach dropped. Sure enough, there she was, Karen Blake, standing in my yard again like she had some divine right to dictate my property. This time, she hadn't come with hesitation. She'd brought the same two hired cutters, but now with a bigger truck and a crane attached. I stormed out the door. "Karen, what did I tell you last time? You step foot on my lawn again, and it's trespassing." She gave me that smug little smirk, the one she reserved for people she thought she had cornered. "Daniel, the HOA board has voted. Your maple is classified as dangerous. Removal is mandatory. I'm simply enforcing the rules." I barked a laugh. "The board? You mean you? You signed that notice yourself. That's not a vote. That's dictatorship." The workers paused again, clearly remembering the last time I'd threatened legal action. I could see them hesitate, whispering to each other. One of them said under his breath, "Ma'am, maybe we need a permit or something." Karen snapped at him. "Do your job, or I'll hire someone who will. That tree is coming down today." I whipped out my phone, recording every second. "You heard me the first time. If you touch that tree, I'll see you in court. Property destruction without consent is a civil offense under Virginia Code 18.2-137. And by the way, cutting it down without municipal approval violates county ordinance." Karen ignored me, waving at the crew like she was royalty. "Proceed." I watched in horror as they revved up the saws and went straight for the base of my maple. Chips of bark flew as they sliced into its trunk. I shouted, I threatened, but the noise drowned me out. My fists clenched as helpless anger surged in my chest. And then, like nature itself decided it was done with her nonsense, the chain made its final cut. The tree groaned, a deep, splitting crack that echoed across the street. "Timber!" one of the workers yelled, but the trajectory wasn't what anyone expected. Instead of falling cleanly into my yard, the 40-year-old maple tilted toward the street. Karen's eyes went wide just as the full weight of the tree came crashing down, directly onto her pristine silver convertible parked at the curb. The sound was deafening. Metal crumpled, glass shattered, and the roof folded like paper under the maple's massive trunk. Karen shrieked, clutching her clipboard to her chest as though it could shield her from the disaster. The cutters froze, their jaws hanging open. I kept my camera steady, catching every glorious second. And in that moment, watching her beloved car flatten beneath the tree she insisted on cutting, I couldn't help thinking, sometimes justice doesn't come from a courtroom, it comes from gravity. If you're enjoying this HOA story so far, like and subscribe because the story is only going to get better. The crash echoed like thunder. Wood splintered, glass shattered, and for a moment, the whole street froze in disbelief. Karen's precious silver convertible sat crushed beneath the weight of the very maple she had sworn was a hazard. The trunk split her windshield clean in two, branches speared through the leather seats, and the alarm wailed like a siren announcing karma's arrival. Karen stumbled backward, shrieking, "My car! My brand new car!" Her face drained of color as neighbors peeked from porches and blinds, drawn out by the commotion. Some gasped, some whispered, and a few couldn't help but chuckle. The irony was too perfect. The tree she hated so much had chosen her driveway as its landing spot. My phone still recording. "You'll want to see this," I muttered, making sure her tantrum was captured from every angle. Karen spun on me, wild-eyed. "This is your fault, Daniel? You refused to let me remove it." I raised an eyebrow. "Correction. It was never yours to remove. That tree was on my property, and now, thanks to your little stunt today, you've damaged your own property." Within minutes, the police arrived, called by one of the neighbors. An officer walked the scene, jotting notes, while Karen wailed beside her crumpled convertible. When I explained how she'd ordered workers onto my land without permission, twice, the officer's expression hardened. "Ma'am, did you have a permit to remove this tree?" Karen stammered. I'm the HOA president. I don't need one." The officer shook his head. "That's not how the law works. This is private property. What you did was trespassing, attempted destruction of property, and you'll be liable for all damages caused by your actions." Her jaw dropped. But his tree ruined my car." The officer pointed at the wreck. "Your car was parked illegally close to his property line, and you ordered an unsafe removal without authorization. Legally, this one's on you." The neighbors who had gathered didn't hold back their murmurs now. I caught snippets. "Serves her right. Always thought she was untouchable. Finally, someone stood up to her." Karen tried to argue, but every word only buried her deeper. The officers wrote up a full report, and when they asked if I wanted to press charges, I didn't hesitate. "Absolutely," I said, still filming. "I want it documented that she trespassed and ordered an illegal removal." As the tow truck dragged her mangled convertible away, Karen stood on the curb, trembling with rage and humiliation. The mighty HOA president reduced to watching her authority crumble alongside her car. I leaned against my porch rail, coffee in hand, and said just loud enough for her and the neighbors to hear, "Guess the tree wasn't the real hazard after all." The crowd snickered. Karen glared daggers, but for once she had nothing left to say. That night, the neighborhood felt lighter. The maple tree might have fallen, but so had Karen's reign of intimidation. And let me tell you this, when karma comes for an HOA bully, it doesn't just knock. It drops like a 40-foot maple right onto their pride and joy.